Welcome back, everybody. Thanks again for joining. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some traffic plans. In particular, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss traditional methodologies to go about doing this. All right, so I'm going to make my head a little bit smaller here, do some clicking and some popping, and shrink this up a smidge because you don't want to look at me, right? Puts this over here, maybe. I don't know where the good spot's at, but nonetheless, what we want to do is talk about some of the traditional ways that we can drive traffic. Okay, and this in particular, this is the paid side. All right, so again, just a quick recap: we have the organic side, the paid side, on our step 3 of creating traffic and then converting them here in a little bit. So right now, what we're doing is we're looking at TV, billboards, radio, and I put them all in one bucket. And I did that for a reason. It's because they are in the same bucket, frankly. A couple of those, in some areas of the country, we've seen help agents, but for the most part, they haven't. I just want to share that TV, it's a very, very unique situation when we've seen this benefit from an ROI standpoint. There are some branding pieces in here that can do really, really well, but it's very, very unique. If we could just talk about where the attention is really quickly when it comes to your customer, all the people that we talk to, and granted, there's people out there that we don't talk to where this is not the case, but this thing right here, this is where the attention is. And even if someone does watch TV, let's say it's a sporting event or it's something along those lines, as soon as a commercial comes on, what ends up happening is that they go to the restroom or they grab something to eat or what have you. And so the effectiveness of a TV commercial these days has dramatically dwindled. And again, from a branding standpoint, there are times when we've seen it seem to play a role in a positive way, very niche specific. Billboards are very similar, but again, it's different, right? So there's one agent in particular that we know of. We haven't worked with him, but we've seen some of the numbers behind the scenes here, and he has a lot of billboards. And from what I understand, they actually do really well. But his particular situation is very interesting because he's kind of exhausted every other avenue of marketing, and must have gotten a sweetheart deal. But nonetheless, we've seen that one do okay. But again, that's a very, very unique situation. There's other pockets where it seems like it would have made sense, but we haven't advised on it because it seems like when we compared some of the digital stuff, which is much more transparent, it's just hard to commit to something that isn't transparent. All right. And again, it's not transactional. So on the traditional side, for the most part, with the exception of postcards and letters, they're dramatically less transactional. So the other side, maybe what we should do really quickly is just talk about that transactional side as a quick reminder. And if you haven't seen that video yet, make sure that you go to the video in regards to comparing a sales funnel to a traditional website. And what I mean by that is, when you watch it, you know what I'm talking about when I compare Amazon to Wikipedia. Okay, so Wikipedia being more on the branding side, and then Amazon being more on the sales funnel side. So back on track here. So again, going down the line here, there are situations where some of these have seen some positivity in them. I'm not going to say that they don't, right? What I would say though is that if you're considering the TV route, instead of considering the TV route from a traditional TV standpoint, think of an Instagram TV or a Facebook Live or a YouTube channel, because that's essentially the new way to do a TV show, right? So just a thought. And same when it comes to radio. Very, very similar mentality here. Obviously, it's a different audience because there are folks that do listen to normal radio per se, but it's just a mental shift here about where the attention is and so on and so forth. So when we get down to postcard magazines, which can be specific to real estate, we've seen those do relatively well. But then postcards and letters. So depending on your niche, we've seen them do pretty well. We haven't seen them knock it out of the park per se, but we have seen them help top of mind quite a bit, more of a branding side. And we have seen it translate into something that could correlate into something being a little bit more transactional. We've used We've experimented with some tracking numbers and so on and so forth. On the investment side of real estate, postcards and letters can be very, very effective. But when it comes to traditional real estate, um, it just seems like it gets mixed in with the mess a little bit more than on the investment side. But again, there are situations where we have seen it be effective. But again, let's where we personally believe that there's a place in just about everyone's career is on the digital side. And it's not to be just biased for any other reason. It's because that's where the attention is, and that's where the effectiveness comes in, is that where there's attention, there's a greater chance, right? When you're driving down the road, take a look around. Hopefully you're in the passenger seat, right? And just think about who looks at a billboard, right? I happen to look at them, but I'm looking at them because I'm sort of a marketing nerd, right? But do you really think that, just really be honest with yourself, do you really think that they work in the way that they would have, say, 10 years ago? Or is this whole thing right here getting all that attention? I mean, even at a stoplight, shoot, even when people are driving, they're looking on their phones, let alone when they're at a stoplight or any other time, or a passenger. I mean, it's it's obnoxious. So it's sort of a little bit of a non-debate here. It's more about just having a conversation. And again, knowing yourself, knowing your ideal customer, those can help determine if one of the niches that I mentioned that could be very, very specific, this might be a fit for you. Um, at the end of the day, if something's going to work, I would never say no to it, right? I just won't. So I just want to be clear, you guys. I'm not trying to be a hater on anything. I'm just trying to be honest about what's going on in this world in terms of being honest about where the attention is. So thank you very much. Hopefully, if you haven't seen the digital videos on this, put a link below. Again, if you ever want to reach out and you have questions about working with us, please do. Link below about that as well. And see you in the next video, and I hope you're having an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.